Hello and welcome to Appropriate Culture. Today we're talking about male and female dynamics. Enjoy the show.
And we're live.
Welcome back.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Are we a little loud today with the volume? Should I turn it down a little bit?
Yeah, I don't know. Feels a little loud, but I speak a little softly.
I think it's a little better
so
now. I think we're
probably
good.
cool.
We're good.
That's probably fine.
Cheers.
Cheers.
What do you got there?
Just some black coffee. It's my
Okay.
one of my morning go-tos.
Keeping
about
it
you?
simple. I got a little mint tea mixed with a little pre-workout mixed with some water.
Nice.
I call the concoction from the gods. Keeps you mentally alert on it because we're going to need it today.
Right.
This episode, in my opinion, is going to be one for the books. Male and female psychology, 21st century. We're diving in.
Right.
So, when you think about male and female psychology nowadays, what comes to mind?
Well, for me, I really kind of think of people just in general, like more as spirits first. So I see male and female psychology and dynamics as it really has having shifted recently because of all the new souls coming into the planet. But that's a little bit out there. I really see things kind of shifting to where people are seeing that men and women are fundamentally like physically different, but equal in that we all have, our own strengths and weaknesses and things to contribute to society, and that we don't necessarily have to conform to societal ideas or roles, or traditional roles that have been
Constructed by society?
yeah.
What do they refer to? There's a
Propagating.
terminology for that.
Gender roles, or
Yeah, what they refer to as that it only exists that way because we made it that way. So gender roles, essentially.
yeah.
That's something that nowadays I hear left and right.
Societal construct.
Societal construct, that's what it is. So essentially you could argue that almost everything is societal construct. On a literal sense.
Yeah, we're
And so that idea can get slippery because everything could apply to that, but you can't really prove it. The idea makes sense, but you can't go back and actually prove it that that's how it played out. So for example, the whole, we each have roles and stuff like that. Well, you hear the whole social construct. A lot of feminists will say that the only reason why we think about certain women in a certain way is just because in the social construct we made it that way. And that's that. And then now that we have freed ourselves from a lot of these ideologies, that now we're all just this translucent sort of watery type of sex that can just go back and forth as you see fit. I gotta say, I believe personalities are definitely a wide spectrum.
mm-hmm.
I do find a little bit of a slippery slope, this whole talk of like, we're all the same. And women can do what men can do, and men can do what women can do. And we can all fit each other's shoes and just step up to the plate like that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really agree with that. We're all the same. I mean, I think all like souls essentially are equal and have equal value. But it's like people aren't the same. It's like
No.
Between two men, two brothers, they're not going to be the same. They're not going to have the same interests. They're not going to have the same intelligence. They're not going to have the same physical strength
yeah.
and natural abilities and yeah, it's like I think I personally believe in reincarnation, and so I believe that each person has been, if they've been a human before, which most people I think have been humans before, they have been both sexes, and so it's to me it's like it's kind of similar to the idea of race, that it's like it's almost a joke in that it's a temporary like body or personality or garment or identity that you put on for a short period of time, for a lifetime, and then you take that off, and then when you're reincarnated you'll probably be either a different sex or a different race, or and a lot of times I think you incarnate as whatever sex or race you need to like help you learn lessons, a lot of times to balance karma from your last lifetime. So yeah, I think what's funny is I think a lot of the people who are probably very strongly either feminists or like, is there actually, this was another thing, and maybe a side topic, but is there a word for like, because there's feminist, is there like
equivalent for male?
a male equivalent
like,
for the word feminist?
Well, there is a such thing as like man's rights.
A masculist?
Well, it goes to prove, like, I was talking about this with somebody 2 days ago when I went out on Saturday. For those who don't know, we're in Las Vegas right now, so I was out on the Strip. It was lit. And I got to experience lots of different circumstances of observing male and female psychology, front row seats. Mm-hmm. And one of the girls that I started talking to later that night, she brought up the whole feminist argument, the patriarchy, the whole thing. It wasn't even me. And so I know if you're next to me, you're like, oh shit, here we go. Like, it's about to go down, right? And she's pretty drunk too, so those conversations can go sideways pretty quick. Long story short, by the end of our conversation, all that we both picked up on was the fact that there's a group for every type of female. There's like a security / talk or support group for every type of woman out there. But when it comes for men, it's almost very hard to find these types of support groups, groups that are there just out fighting for men's rights. Men just always have taken a back seat when it comes down to these things, and they just kind of just take it. They don't go out of their ways to make all these men groups, and so we can talk about men's situations. Men worlds, like these little men spaces, are very few, which is why actually a lot of them become quite popular online.
Yeah, I mean, I think the argument against that would be we live in a male-dominated society.
That was her argument.
And
but
most organizations and businesses and clubs and stuff are even set up that are geared towards men.
Well, I get your, what do you call it, like gentlemen's clubs and stuff like that. But if you were to look at the bigger scope of like how much support groups go towards are just for women, it is way over the top compared to what men have available for them. Now, I'm not saying we need more of that. I'm not saying I don't even say that we need it. I'm just saying both sexes go about having to deal with their problems and the circumstances in their lives in different ways. Yeah, right. And men often keep their shit to themselves, which is also why I think male suicide is over 90%. Of all the suicides, over 90% of all males. I think men internalize a lot of their shit and they don't know how to get it out.
I mean, yeah, but I think that would say that we do need more male support groups and more.
Yeah, I guess I was speaking for myself on a personal level. As a whole, yes. As a whole, it seems like if you had women committing suicide at a 90% rate, out of 10 suicides, 9 of them were women, the world would come to a halt and we'd be like, what the fuck is happening? We need to figure this out right now.
I mean, yeah, I'd be interested to see those figures, but yeah.
Oh yeah, I'll pull it up. Yeah, those are I recently double checked on those, and over 90% of suicides, men. Which is why over 90% of people who are homeless, men too. Right. And so
yeah, I mean, I think really what that points to is we need more support for men and emotional support, and I think it shows that men internalizing things and like not expressing themselves is like unhealthy, and like
it is unhealthy. Yeah. But I mean, it coincides with how a lot of us are raised. Yeah. Not necessarily by your own parents, but let's just go in with the word society, since society is the key word here in this conversation. in many ways, without being taught directly, we're taught indirectly to not be a little bitch, not cry, not feel sorry for yourself,
Yeah.
not do any of these things that make you look emotional.
Yeah, not express emotions at all. Yeah.
And the few times I can say this, the few times that I've either witnessed a guy wearing that emotional side of him, or a side where I felt like I used that part more than I was used to, I can tell you, man, like, it did not feel like it was the right move. Like, it felt like, in a way, it felt like you were getting judged like a motherfucker. It felt like, in some ways, say you did it to a female that you're with, it's like some emotional time or something like that. I don't think you're really gonna walk away with her having more fucking respect for you. I think a lot of women will say that they appreciate a guy who's vulnerable, but when it's said and done, I've come to find out that's really not what they want.
Word. Well, I disagree with that on a few levels. Well, one, I think the point of like being in touch with your emotions, and because I mean I'm very in touch with my emotions, and I like get emotional at various times, and I use my emotions to actually as a tool for manifestation, because it's like emotions are what activate the law of attraction. But I think the point of being emotional and being in touch with your emotions like isn't about whether a woman like will be into you more attracted to you or whatever. It's like I think it's for your own good, and it's like for you to be able to express your most emotions and not suppress them is one healthy, but it's like also how you really enjoy life. And I think, so the most impactful men in history have been very like in touch with emotions and very able to use emotions, like, for good and bad. But like the most influential leaders are people who are very emotional, usual, and it's people who with very controlled emotions.
That's the word, controlled. And so I have no problem with people utilizing emotions and directing it and utilizing it for progress. But if you don't know how to harness that, and you don't know how to, like actually manage it, that can go sideways just as much as it can go well for you.
Yeah, I mean, but I think that also is why, I mean, points to the suicide thing. It's like people not knowing how to manage and how to deal with their emotions. It's like they lock them up inside or suppress them, and then they manifest as, either emotional or like mental, like or depression or physical problems. It's like when you trap emotions in your body, like that's what leads to illness. So I think and I think part of that is because I really think like feminine energy has been, and just like the feminine aspect of the male-female dynamic has been undervalued and really just kind of like discredited. And so it's like we live in a very like masculine dominated, which is like mental, and like where we try to have everything organized, our time, like everything's like based on this, our system of time even. And like,
I mean, the world has never been so feminine up until now.
It's
This
starting,
is the most the world has ever been this feminine.
it's starting to, yeah, that's what I totally agree. It's starting to be balanced, but feminine energy has been suppressed on this planet for thousands of years.
Yeah, I would say now that's not in the United States. I would say maybe in other countries that's still being suppressed. Here in the United States, the female energy has been let loose and is not going back in the bottle, both in the good way and in the bad way. Shit. We were talking about this all for the last week. How I've been telling you how pretty much every other female that I interact with here is a sex worker on some level. The fucking mom that's 44, the girl that's 20.
But so those are like, so I mean, I'm feminine energy, and like
That's why I said good and bad. I said there's good feminine energy, there's bad feminine energy. Just like there's good male energy and there's bad male energy.
Yeah.
My point that I'm trying to make is this. Right now, more so than ever, especially here in the United States, this is a feminized ass country, meaning men are acting the most feminine I've ever seen. Women are acting the most masculine I've ever seen. And personally, I think that's one of the big issues right now. is the fact that so many men are acting so feminine and so many women are acting so so masculine. And so, sure, you still got that yin and the yang in there, but now it's flipped in many ways. And so some people are still holding it down the way that they have been going across things. But I've noticed that when it comes down to circumstances from across the board of, let's just talk about the average person, because I know that I'm going to make several points that might not line up with you or that one person that's watching our podcast. I'm going to generalize here so we can keep the conversation going. So I'm not going to talk about small groups of people. I'm going to talk about the majority of people. I'm going to stick with that subject. Right. So we don't get caught up with the specifics here. So across the board, I've noticed the male psychology is turning feminine, is getting more feminine by the day. And across the board, the female psychology is turning more masculine by the day. I personally think that's not a good thing.
I mean, could you explain that? I mean, how is male psychology becoming more feminine, and you think that's a bad thing?
Yeah. So for example, I've been doing a lot of research on male female psychology for the last 3 years. This is something that has propped up in my interest level amongst many other things. But I've always realized that I was like, okay, if you can solve some of these problems for yourself, that's a good life ahead of you, because this is something that you're always going to have to deal with. You know, either with other men. I don't care if you're bisexual or gay or whatever, but I'm saying, like, even on a friendship level, like, you're dealing with people all the time. I have noticed a abundant amount of women unhappy with the results they're getting in the dating world, like over the top. And I've also noticed an abundant amount of men not getting the success that they want in the dating world. And here is what I think is happening. Across the board, and I'll go for both perspectives, from the females looking at the males and the males looking at the females. Mm-hmm. From the males looking to the females, unfortunately, the thoughtiness level has gone so overboard that the average female that I could pull up from you in any of these dating apps, you'd be like, sure, I go out with her for one night, but I'm not going to date her.
Thoughtiness meaning
that hoe over there. For those of you who don't know, the thought, THOT, stands for that. That's like a new term that I don't know how long ago it got created. I even wrote a song called Thought.
Probably like 5 years ago.
That song is actually still getting streams consistently. That's one of my top songs. And I think I know why. It's because on a subconscious level, it really just resonates with people.
I mean, it's a catchy song.
It's a catchy song, but I think it resonates with people. Like, I think half of the shit that you hear on that thing, you're like, yeah, I know that girl. I've seen that girl.
It's not. I mean, I like that song because it's so ridiculous. I mean,
and that's fine. That's what you. Too. My point is, as an artist, I've been doing this for almost 5 years now. The songs that catch on and that stick around, people still play it, is because they hit you on some level. If it's lyrically, if it's emotionally, I don't give a damn. But it hits you on some level.
And for people who haven't heard, go check out Thought, THOT, on
I'll put a
YouTube.
I'll put a screenshot
it's
of the song.
It's pretty dope. Watch the video too.
Watch the video's good. Anyways, so I've noticed that generally, if I were to try to go on a dating app or just even a social media where you're not directly looking for dating people, the thoughtiness is through the roof. And so you have even girls who say they're religious, and you go to their profiles.
Like thoughtiness, yeah, I'm still like...
Okay, so let me explain. Okay, as a man, when you are dating a female, and things are, let's just say, in the beginning stages, okay? If you're a guy who understands what you're walking into and you want to actually have like a long-term relationship on some sort that's going to be meaningful, and you're not going to be doing shit that is not necessary in order to keep a healthy relationship alive, well, a big factor is this for men out there. If the girl that you're starting to see, if she has several pictures that is just her flaunting herself looking good, meaning Friday night looking good, going out with the girls looking good, basically all her pictures is just herself showing herself off, not even necessarily wearing no clothes, wearing very sexy clothes and in the most sexiest positions out and about. That's fine. Almost every female does that. Here's what I'm saying. It's so standardized that now the average guy thinks that shit's normal. And you think that's just like how women are. And that's not necessarily how women are. You and I both know that there are women who are not like that. Yeah. And so my point is this. Not all women. I've got to say it before, I'll say it again.
If you're, I guess if you're you're interacting with women just on Tinder and like that's what you're seeing, or on OkCupid or whatever.
No, I just said social media too.
I'm on social media. I guess I'm not friends with a ton of thoughts. So, but I have a lot of women. Nearly all of my friends who are women are not posting even a million selfies.
Even for those, because you and I run in the same industry, so I know we're friends with a lot of the same people from the marketing industry. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of those girls who are not off the top thotties, I see more than half of the time those type of girls coming around at one point or another, and they fall for it, meaning at one point or another they come with that picture, at one point or another they come with that post. And the reason is because these type of girls are there's so less of them. They actually feel like they're the ones that it's like the ones that are not doing it. They're the lone ones.
Well, I don't really see a problem with that though. Like what?
No, here's where I'm going with this. This was just one part of the explanation I'm trying to give you from both sides. Across the board, men are looking at women that are laying around in the spaces to go date. And in many times, if you're smart enough as a guy, you'll see red flags left and right. Social red flags, what you're wearing, red flags, how much you drink, red flags, your overall standard on how you go about life, red flags.
Yeah.
And now here's another thing. I'll give you the men's side. That's just a short version of what the men are seeing in the women, and a lot of them will go for it because they don't have too many options.
Well, yeah, but I mean, to that point, the guys that are going for those, they're probably not breaking records in their fields and stuff.
They're not. They're average as well.
Yeah.
And so, but the whole point is talking about the average person. We're not talking about the winners that's a 10% that nobody else falls in that category.
But, so it's not, but it's not just women being thotty. It's, the guy, guys are hella broy too.
I know, but you didn't let me give you the second half of the explanation. You're now jumping into what the girls think about the guys, and I have yet to even get to that part.
Well, we haven't talked about that at all, though. I feel like
no, I'm doing it right now.
Really harsh on women.
No, I know you think I'm always harsh on women because you like to hold it down for the feminine side, and I'll hold it down for the masculine side. That being said, now I will give you the woman side so you can get that side of the answer. So for the women, I've noticed, I don't care if you're a thought, I don't care if you're a religious person, I don't care any of these. Women like to feel protected. They like to feel like they're in a secure relationship. Okay, that's what I've noticed on all women on all levels, older women, younger women, the whole 9 yards. Sure, they want other things, but security seems to be the very top notch. Well, if we're going to go about it with that, think about on the literal level, on a financial level. Men in their 20s are now making less than their female peers doing the same work in the United States. So on a literal sense of what women tend to base security off when it comes down to obvious things like bills getting paid, a lifestyle being secure, men themselves are not even in the position in their 20s to put out that energy. Because in many ways, they don't even feel like they have a secure life to even bring a female on in their 20s. Now, perhaps later on as a man, when you've built yourself, you got some more resources, you've worked on yourself, you're getting into your 30s. It seems to be like men find their strides in their 30s. But it seems like if you're looking to date men in their 20s and you're expecting them to be this person to step up and secure the relationship and have these resources for you, you're going up against not good percentages either.
That's going with the expectation that men are supposed to pay for things.
That's the thing. There is that expectation sometimes. And so what I've also noticed is there's the expectation of equality, while in the same breath, there's expectations of men pulling up and just taking care of all these things like bills and stuff like that. And so my question here is this. What does equality actually mean?
Well, so I disagree with that. pretty
But
much
what does
all
equality
the,
actually mean, though?
well, no, but like you're saying that like women just expect men to pay for things, like, and I think that's a lot of the like the equality in the feminist movement is like about that, you know, men and women are equal and like don't have to like
Right.
men don't have to pay for everything.
I know.
And,
So tell me why that still happens on both sides.
but it doesn't like always like it's an individual thing. Like basically all the women I've dated recent in the, you know, the last few years have like really tried to go out of the way to, you know, pay for things.
Now, answer me this though: across the board, even though they did pay for some things, who paid for the most?
It depended on the relationship, and it was really about who had more money. When I was, you know, like dating someone recently, like she was like had a lot more money than me, so she was generally paying for more things than I was.
So you experienced something I've never experienced. I've always been the one to pay the most. I've always been the one to carry that thing along. And I gotta be honest, back in the day, men didn't have they didn't feel so bad about just paying up for everything because that came along with other things. Now, a guy goes down that road, which, for the record, if a female is never paying up and you're always the one pulling out your wallet, run. Run, guys. Because that is a female you do not want to be around with, okay? That is, she's going for it and she doesn't even feel bad about it. Yeah. So my point is,
and you know, on the other guys too, you know, like there's plenty of guys who are just like looking for a sugar mama who are like,
and that's fine. But I mean, I actually have never physically met a dude. I physically have never met a dude. I know they exist, but I don't know a dude who's literally dating an older cougar and just getting everything paid for. Like I was a sugar baby, but a sugar baby for male version. I do know many females who are younger and they have sugar daddies. I know a lot of them actually, and they explain to me how the circumstances of the interactions are. And my God, it's fucking weird. It makes me feel gross, dude. I mean, I'll tell you the specific stories that from our neighbor we just met. She told me that 0 out of her sexual interactions are just because, out of pure pleasure. They are all interactions that are transactions. And it made me think, what does that do to somebody's mind? Because when I view sex, the action of being sexual with somebody, being close with somebody, not at any point does money come into mind. Sure, there's that indirect use of money, like I'm going to take her out or we're going to go do this or whatever.
Yeah, but is it, you know, something that you're really like genuinely connecting with them on like an emotional level, or is it more of a transactional thing? Like,
no, I really do connect with the person while I'm with them. Like, people can say that just because you're not going to stay with the person, that might mean you're not really doing it. But I can actually say, like, while I'm with that person at that time, yeah, we're connected. Like, we're there. Whether I want to see you again later on, that's a different story. Now, I'm talking about when you have 100% of your interactions and you have to get paid. Like, you're only there and there's like a timer.
well, I mean, if that's like how you like, if what you want to like,
No,
it's
it's totally fine.
That's totally fine.
You and I both know, like I've said it before, do what you want to do. My question is what does that do to your brain? That was the question.
Yeah, I mean, I would think you.
What does that do for your interactions with everybody else after that?
Yeah, I mean, you would probably just not view that. I mean, I think it would probably be the same as like a porn star. You know, it's like you view it as like, you know, a business or like, you know, I don't know. Maybe it like I never, you know, done any sex work, but it maybe it's similar to like cooking. You know, it's like if you cook for yourself, you get pleasure out of it, but if you cook for someone else, it's really just a transactional thing.
I just feel like when it comes to like,
or giving a massage.
Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is when it comes to the whole like touching and being like physical with a person, that to me, I just don't put it into like a job description. Now we do know, we've talked about this, where the data from a lot of these dating apps are showcasing that 80% of the men are not getting anything, and 20% of the men are getting 80% of the women on these dating apps. give or take, that number can go up and down. But I definitely know for a fact that I've gone into other girls' dating apps. They have matches beyond beliefs. Like, so many matches you can't even get around to them. And then on top of that, so they basically, the average girl, and when I mean average, I mean she's not even a dime. We're talking 5 or 6 or 7 on the 10 scale. These girls have so many matches, they will literally sit there, pick 1 or 2 or 3 that are the top out of those a dozen that came in that day, and then chat with one of those guys later on and go out with that guy. So when you look at those odds that you have as a dude to go out with some of these girls, not even like the top of the food chain, the odds is not looking good for the dudes out there because of how the dating apps have developed themselves. It seems like the men are not picky at all. They're swiping on all the women, and the women are extra picky. So women tend to swipe on 20% out of the men, and the men are swiping on like almost 100% of the women. Right, left.
Yeah, I mean...
This is stats. This is not my opinion.
I'd say the
this
average, yeah. I think the average person is pretty clueless when it comes to dating in general, and like just hasn't put the time and the effort in to really like learn about psychology and like learn about what works. You know.
And for the record, for those chicks who are getting a bunch of matches, those are some of the same women who are talking about how they're unhappy with their results.
Word.
And so it's almost like it's not even playing out for them because.
On the flip side of that, there's plenty of women who are on dating apps who don't, you know, like are not finding a ton of matches of people that they want to date.
Right. I think they're all still getting matches. They're just not necessarily getting much of the matches of the guys that they want to go out with, perhaps.
Yeah. So, I mean, well, that's the thing. It's like women will match with like 10 guys that they may potentially be interested in.
That day.
You know. No, like
it's that day, dude. I'm sorry, like
no, I know. I've been on there too. Any like woman who's like, you know, like decently attractive.
Just
yeah, true. But you know, it's like they'll match with people and then they'll get like 2 like hey babies, like
3 dick pics.
Yeah, 3 dick pics, and you know, it's like, and so it's like for like women have to wade through these, like, you know, guys are just so clueless. And you know, it's like actually, so, you know, you're talking about you've been studying this for a few years. Like in high school, I was hella shy and I like didn't, you know how to talk to girls. Like women found me attractive or like girls found me attractive, and like but I was just like so shy, and I really wanted to learn like how to talk to women. So I spent time, searching, you know, researching female psychology and like dating and stuff. And so I literally spent a few years like learning about it. And then, you know, in college, like going and meeting people and like figuring out how to like meet people, talk to people, and like date essentially. And then, and it really paid off and really led me to just interpersonal psychology in general.
Yeah,
and,
for sure.
And books like How to Win Friends and Influence People and like Think and Grow Rich, and like, you know, and then really I think it is probably what originally started on my like self-improvement and like you know, consciousness, and ultimately like led me to meditation and really just on this path of self-improvement.
Okay, so
anyway, yeah. So yeah, you know, when I was younger, I took some time to learn about, you know, male-female psychology and like how to talk to people, and really just how to improve my communication skills, and then practiced a lot and like even got into sales and stuff. And I feel like it's such a valuable like set of skills to learn, and I feel like it's just, you know, everybody should spend some time learning just communication skills, like how, you know, learning about body language and really just like figuring out how to communicate with people and like influence people, you know, in a positive way. I think How to Win Friends and Influence People is like a great resource for that. And yeah, I feel like it pays off and will pay off, you know, in dating and, you know, interpersonal relations and just so many ways.
Learning game for men in your early years is a must. And you don't need to be like a player or a pimp because of it. It just means you know how to hold it down in social environments. Yeah.
And it pays off in business. Like,
no, it does. Time. It's, once again, if you're dealing, you know how to deal with women, you know how to deal with humans in general. and you understand the psychology behind thinking, which it goes way beyond sexuality. It really, what you're going to learn is, what do people desire? And once you understand what people truly desire, you can get to the results that you want.
Yeah. Yeah. And, and there's also like deeper levels of it, like body language. And, something that I actually discovered when I was in college was actually, I mean, originally in high school, but I call it the force. But it's basically a nonverbal communication and like an energy essentially that exists, energy interaction that exists within between people that and everyone uses it and does it. It's almost always unconscious, but it's you can basically project different like frequencies or different types of energy that will have effects on people. It's like why when you meet somebody and you don't like them, they're like their energy rubs you the wrong way. It's like because they're projecting that energy. They usually don't know they're doing it, and it's usually because they're like pissed off about something or like.
So it's got nothing to do with you.
Yeah,
half of the time.
But you also attract people depending on like what energy you're putting out, and so yeah, it's like I found in college, and I really fine tuned it when I was studying abroad in France, in Paris. I realized that I could put out an energy or like shift the energy that I was putting out to make people attracted to me, or to make myself invisible, like energetically, or it's like if I wanted like the group to notice me, or like or to people to respond positively to me, I would put out a specific energy. And like there was a time when I was like, I really focused it and made it like a very sexual energy, so that when I would go to parties, women would just like literally be magnetically drawn to me. Yeah.
So let's stick with that point there. The point of you get what you attract. Okay. And so, for example, if you're only coming across gold diggers, you're attracting that, right?
Yeah.
If you're only attracting gangsters and gangbangers,
yeah,
you're attracting
abusive
that.
relationships,
Abusive relationships,
or wonderful people, or
exactly,
people who are incredibly generous,
exactly.
And so, but it's also it's what the energy you're putting out, but it's also about like what you're focusing on. And it's like, so where your attention goes, your energy flows. And
I agree.
So if you're focused on, say you have a relationship and, like the person does like almost everything right, but they like never make the bed, or like have a really messy car or something. And, it's like you can go through and like have everything wonderful, but if you focus on that one thing, like you can literally like make yourself miserable, or like like start to really resent them or something. And the more you focus on that, basically the more of that you'll attract into your life. So not only will you attract it from them, like they'll be messier, and like they'll keep doing things that will like cause those same emotions to happen for you. But you'll also like say you get fed up and you leave that person, then whether it's you're dating somebody or you're living with somebody or you're in a work situation, it's like the more of what you focus on, you're going to keep attracting that. So it's like even if you like end a relationship, you're gonna attract more of like what
you'll focus on that on the next person.
So and the thing to do with it is to really focus on the best aspects of a relationship. Say you're on the flip side, and like you're dating someone who's kind of awful and like 9 out of 10 ways, but they keep their car really clean, and they always make their bed. And like if you like focus on that and like compliment them on that, and like really just like focus on the best aspects of why things are good, and and it things that are, if like you do have a problem, like instead of like recognize the problem, don't ignore it, but like see it and then point at the solution, and then only focus on the solution. And so it's like if someone's like messy, then like imagine that they're not messy, or that they're tidy and they, make their bed every day, and really just kind of like focus on that, and that's like what you'll attract. And so
Yeah. I mean, if someone has that many red flags, if you want to stick around for that, and be my guest, but
yeah, word. I mean, if someone has that many red flags, you likely also have that many red flags.
you would think so. And so, I mean, I agree. I agree that there's a certain level of growth mentality you need to have, but then at the same time, you need to have a realistic standard as to where you are in life and the person that you're dealing with. And that actually has been the key thing that has kept me from dating certain women who are really great on paper. It's like you're great on a lot of things, but we are at different places in life. I definitely was not talked about this when I was growing up through my parents or anybody else until I figured it out, which is male and female biology towards our bodies are completely different. And how we mature and when we're ready to do certain things in life, like start families and stuff like that, we don't go through those things at the same age frame. And so I was kind of blown away that like my parents never touched on that. The adults around me when I was a kid never touched on that. Nobody said nothing about that.
Are your parents the same age?
My mom is like 2 or 3 years older than my dad.
Weird. See, it's funny because my dad is like 9 years older than my mom, and
that would make sense.
And pretty much all of my friends' parents had the same or greater age difference, and so literally when I was like 3 or 4, I picked up on that.
Oh, okay.
And then I remember in elementary school, at like some of my elementary school's teachers did like basically talk about that.
Yeah.
That mainly in talking about history, in that women a lot of times girls used to like have kids at like 15 because the life expectancy was like 35.
It's like 30.
And
we know now that 35, you are now in the danger zone of having danger pregnancies.
It's like I guess it starts becoming
the percentage starts to become higher and higher by that age, that time frame. Doesn't mean it's gonna happen, but you're playing with fire.
I mean, I believe in like consciousness. I mean, I believe if someone was 50 and they really wanted to have a kid and they like were...
You said 50 or 15?
50.
No, that's fine. I believe they can. I'm going off of the medical research.
Yeah.
Not my opinion.
Yeah,
this is medical facts.
Yeah.
And just because it won't happen to you, it could happen to you at 37, it could happen to you at 33. Let's not get into the specifics here.
Yeah, well, I mean, if we're talking about like law of attraction, like using consciousness, I like generally anytime I go into something, it's like that's how I'll frame it, and it's the same.
Yeah,
thing
I feel you, but we gotta generalize to keep it going, because once again, if you're a healthy person, you could probably have a kid well in your 50s, but we both know the average person is not that healthy, and so you do fall in that category, and don't think you're special. Is what I've noticed. And so when women start talking about freezing their eggs and shit like that, I'm like, you've already lost it. You're already fucked, woman.
Yo, bro, like if you want to freeze your eggs, you can do whatever the fuck you want.
Do what you want. Spend all that money. That thing costs like $15,000, $20,000 for you to do that, and you still don't have a guarantee. And so if that's the path you want to take,
if you're a millionaire,
take it. My point is, the moment you start to think your biology is not a factor, don't be surprised when like your hormones are going in a certain direction and your lifestyle is like, no, but I've been doing this, and you feel like you're being tugged from either direction. And that's because your body internally is like feeling like, okay, this is the next part of my life, but you're up to something else right now. And so this is why like you hear about when women have baby rabies.
What?
Baby rabies is a terminology.
I've never heard that.
So baby rabies is when females get towards their like mid-20s to early 30s. If they haven't already done so, they start to really crave like having a baby, which is why you often see a lot of
rabies,
these.
Yo, that's like such an offensive term. I'm like, come on, yo. Like,
I didn't make it up.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of terms you didn't make up, but like
baby rabies. I've been told this
I will never use that term.
And you don't have to. I'm telling you what it is. And so call it what you want. It's biology calling out. And so you could fight it all you want. My point is when parents don't teach you about these things and you find out about it like in your 20s, sometimes it might already be too late for you to go about it in that direction. Now, You can go about it however way you want. But if you try to have kids at 50 and it doesn't work out, don't be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably not a good idea, but who? No, I mean, hey.
But I mean, one thing else. Let's talk about the age one, for example. I've been told by many older men now that that's the move. Like as a man, when you get to your 30s, 30 to 35, then you should start looking for like a nice woman to be with that's in her 20s, and those circumstances tend to work out really well. Do you think that is, for the most part, just what older men are wanting to teach younger men, or do you think that actually holds some truth?
Well,
since you physically saw that in your own family.
Well, I've seen that, and I'm actually dating someone who's in their 20s, and I'm 34. But then it wasn't really like intentional, and nobody really advised me to do that.
So would you say that there's still like a subconscious part that played into it? Like you weren't actively looking for that angle, but it all played out. It's still playing out very well. And in the sense, you're like, that is a factor that I hadn't put into perspective.
I mean, I think it does like biologically make sense, yeah. But I've also like, if I were to date someone like my same age, like I don't think that would be any worse.
See, I won't date somebody my own age. Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, because of that right there. So right now I'm 29, which means women at my age, they got baby rabies left and right. And so I don't want kids. Therefore, I'm not going to date anybody who is searching for that right now.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think, I might want kids at some point. I'm not, at this point, I'm like.
I'm talking about right now. I'm talking about like right now.
Oh, yeah. I don't want kids anytime soon.
Right. So I'm not saying just because you're a female and you're in your late 20s, you have to want to have babies. I'm just saying. When I've interacted with women in that age frame,
oh yeah,
it spikes.
Oh yeah, it goes
spiked.
Nuts, yo.
And
like puppies, like little babies coming. Yeah, she's like, my girlfriend's always like,
puppies, yo.
My parents have gotten 2 puppies in the last year. I think they're and they're talking about like breeding the dogs. Like, yeah, it's gonna be like freaking nuts. And yeah, she's also was a nanny and literally taking care of babies. And so actually we met at a preschool and like she was in the baby room. So
you're in the fucking kid environment.
So yeah, so like I've seen it firsthand. Like women like baby fever.
It's a good thing because like
baby fever.
You should have that maternal instinct. That's a good thing, okay? Call it what you want. Call it baby whatever. My point is, it's a good thing.
Yeah, it's funny. Our friend Mike says he only dates like moms or something like that.
Boy.
He's like,
that makes so much sense.
What's funny because like it's subconscious. He's like he says like he'll meet like 5 women and the one who's like a single mom, he'll like be subconsciously attracted to her, and I'm just like. Hey man, it's like he's like the last 2 women he's dated were single moms, but
I mean that makes sense. It makes sense. I mean, do what you want.
Yeah,
do what you want as long as he's happy with the results he's getting in life. Who am I to say that?
It's like instant family.
I think you asked me that, or he asked me that. Why that? Like that is such a big no for me. Was it you who asked me that or him?
I don't think it was me.
And I was like, I looked at him like baffled, and I go. What makes you think I want to put my resources to raise another man's kid?
Yeah, I mean, I actually plan on adopting multiple kids. So
right, but you're doing it out of a situation where like the kid is put in circumstances where none of the parents are there. You know what I mean?
I mean,
and you're like in this situation, you're probably out with a female who had a broken marriage, or not even a marriage, just had a kid with a guy, and in many cases. They talk shit about the guy, but it's like, well, you had a kid with him.
Well, yeah, I mean, I feel like anyone who's talking shit about their ex, like that's definitely
that makes you look bad on you, yeah. And so it's like, well, he's kind of a loser, but you opened your legs for that loser.
But that's not every single mom. Like I'm sure there's
it's most.
No, there's plenty of women out there who have a kid who are like super dope, like super fine. Like if I met a woman who like had her shit together, was super fine, like and she had a kid, like yeah,
no. I'll mess around with you, but I won't take you seriously.
Yeah, I mean, well, me personally, I'm not really trying to get married. I don't think at all, or like. I'm not really trying to settle down, like have a family. And, if it happened at some point, I think that'd be dope, but that's not really like my intention.
So, okay.
But like, So, a woman having a kid is not a deal breaker for me. Like,
if you had a son, okay, if you had a son that was 23, 24, he's becoming a man, okay, and he's like, hey, Dad, I'm dating these 3 chicks. 2 of them are like 20, 21. They got great futures ahead of them. They work very hard. They really care about me. They care about my goals. We got a 3rd woman. She does the same things. 4 or 5 years older. Still works hard. Still looks good. Still tells me I should be doing the things that make me happy. But the difference is she's got 2 kids. You as a dad, which female do you think your son should go for?
Whichever one he's in love with.
He just told you that all 3 of them fall in the same category of the affection he has for them. And I just gave
but
you
if you're dating 3 women, you're not going to feel the same about all 3 women. If like you could be crazy about one of them, if that happens to be the woman with the kids, and like it's in line with what you want to do with your life, yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I say, son, you got 2 out of a 3 chance to fucking knock it out of the park.
I mean, plus that, if she's got 2 kids, like she's probably. Oh, actually, no, I'm not. Like, who knows?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'll be honest. The stats don't point out in too much of a positive thing for single moms or single parents in general. The stats showcase that it's just not the way to go. Your kid is not. The odds of your kid turning out above averages in life is less than expected. And so, once again, not my opinion, facts.
I mean, that's like very. I think that is your opinion. That's
no, it isn't. I'll flash the stats. The stats showed this: when a female grows up in a single parent household, the odds of her becoming a single parent shoots like 4 to 5 times higher. The chances of the boy becoming going to some sort of criminal behavior and actually getting apprehended goes like 4 or 5, 6 times higher as well. And so these are stats they know because they know your parents. When you get into that type of trouble, they know if your family's broken. They know if your parents are divorced.
So I guess the point is you should not be having sex with someone you don't want to have a kid with, or like you.
Yeah, don't. I mean, either don't have sex or actually be smart about it. So if you don't want to sacrifice the sex, make sure you're wrapping it up. Make sure she's on the pill. Make sure you guys are understanding that no kids are going to come out of this equation. This is something I've been very vocal with certain women in the past, where I was straight up saying, like, listen, we can enjoy, we can have fun. There's one rule in this entire house: no babies. And you look at them in the eye, and if they look away and they can't look at you and say, okay, then you stop having sex with them right then and there.
Well, I think you would probably want to do that before you had sex with them, but
sure. If you want to go, yeah. I think it's a little weird because if you haven't had that with a person, sometimes they might feel like you're coming off too strong because you haven't even had it. I guess read your own situation and go about it like that. All I'm saying is find out where the person is on that spectrum.
Yeah.
Find out.
I think that is something you should determine before you have sex with someone. Like, hey, if you get pregnant, like, what would we do?
Actually, I think I told you this. I told you where I was asking different girls I was dating that hypothetically, if she were to get pregnant with one of my kids, what would she do? Mm-hmm. I was blown away at the answers I was getting.
Yeah, and then, I mean, yeah, word. But generally from people you're not, like, in a long-term relationship with. Yeah,
so, for example, these are all women that I did not care for that much. I did not want to have them around for that long. I wasn't that attracted to them, like, through and through, sure, physically. But they all wanted to keep it. And I found that to be, like, fucking scary. That many women that you don't want to be with on that level want to keep your baby. And so I guess I shouldn't be surprised because in certain...
I think just in general, like, a lot of women just want to have a kid, and, like, also wouldn't want to have a...
Okay, so answer me this. Why do you think percentage of marriages that are happening is declining by a substantial amount, and then also the amount of divorces happening is exceeding?
The, like, percentage of people getting married
is going down, and the percentage of people getting divorced it keeps staying high.
I think it's because people are realizing that marriage, like, especially as it's been carried out, is, like, just unrealistic. Like, to be tied to someone no matter what, And just I think people are realizing that you don't have to live that way. Like, you don't have to get married. Like, it's like, up until recently, it was just something that was expected essentially of everybody, is either you get married or like you were, a nun or a monk, or, like a social outcast or something. Maybe every now and then someone like would just be the uncle or aunt or someone who like doesn't get married, but like generally almost everyone got married. And now it's like, it's me. I personally have had this revolution where it's like, I don't have to get married if I don't want to, even if like, and that's another thing. It's like when I've talked to women, when I've dated women, every time I've had that conversation where it's like, hey, if you got pregnant, like, what would you want to do? Because I personally don't really believe in abortion, and so like I don't. Not that I don't believe in it. Like I wouldn't ever ask a woman to get an abortion of like my kid. And so like it's always been the conversation like, hey, like if you got married, if you got pregnant, like, what would you expect? Like I wouldn't ask you to get the abortion, get an abortion. Like I wouldn't want you to, but I'm also not going to marry you. It's like, just because we have a kid, it's like, I don't think that a kid is better off in a marriage where the parents like don't love each other and they're just there like for the kid. I think in that situation, I think it's better for the parents to be single. So like, they either live with one of the parents or like different times.
So do you think it's unrealistic to ask from people to just have kids when you're actually ready to be in a long-term, actually, this is not like a relationship is going to last longer than your kid staying in the house by age 18.
I agree. I don't think that's unrealistic. I think that's what most people should do. And for that reason, I think people should definitely wait until they're like mature to have kids, because like I think about it, like if I had kids up until, even till like recently, like I feel like I was so stupid,
Unequipped.
10, 20 years ago, and like most of our parents of like people, my generation and, and especially like older, like a lot of our parents had kids at 20.
Yeah.
And it still happens.
That's
and
wild
like,
for me to think of that.
And so I'm just like, man, if I had a kid at 20, I was like, I would have grown up really fast, but I would have been a bad parent because I was so fucking stupid. I was so stupid. Like I was just not a smart person when I was in my early 20s, and so I'm just like, I really think people should wait, and I think it'd be better for you to wait, even if you're a woman, to wait, till you're 35 or, however long, till you're mature, you're ready, like you're financially stable, if you're going to have a kid. And that's the thing. It's another one of those things. It's just like marriage. I think people are realizing they don't have to have kids. It's like you don't have to have a kid, like ever, if you don't want to, and so if you want to have kids also, you could adopt.
So for the record, that is what's happening in places like Japan.
Word.
Where the government has noticed that the percentage of birth rate is actually now negative.
Yeah.
And so they know that if that type of behavior becomes too popular, they know that the country literally will lose about half of the GDP in about 10 or 20 years.
Well, that's assuming that it goes on based how it's been, but with automation and stuff, it's like maybe that's not going to be the case, because maybe you don't need that many workers anymore. Maybe perhaps, it's better if there's a negative population growth and the people are basically staying home and working from home, because that's how jobs are going these days.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is the government themselves saw it as a big problem, and they went in and put $2 billion into a marketing campaign to showcase how beautiful marriage is and how much women should get married and have babies, and how they literally ads and shit and everything. So these are their economists that have come together like, this is an issue. Like if we don't check this right now and make women and men want to make some babies.
Or they could open up immigration a bit more, but I don't know if they want to do that.
Nah, not Japan. They won't want to do that. But I don't know. I just think it's interesting because I do think there's a correlation between technology and what we're talking about. The higher we go with technology, seems to me the less actual interactions people are having, the least fulfillment from the physical, real thing people are having.
Yeah,
because a lot of us are living behind screens a lot more than we used to.
But it's like there's a big spectrum too, you know. But because with stuff like Tinder, it's like there's people interacting on like levels that have never happened before. It's like, you know, some people are on Tinder and meeting, you know, a different person every day and like taking them home or, you know, going and just so it's like they're, you know, hooking up with a ton of people to where like that basically wasn't really possible for the average person or not. I mean, maybe that's.
I don't think the average person is being able to do that.
Yeah, that's not the average person at all. But even for someone who's like skilled, like
that was like somewhat back in the day.
Yeah, it's just the possibilities that technology has made available. Plus now people, you know, are finding people on like OkCupid or Match.com who like live across the country and like, you know, like, doing these crazy long-term relationships, and then they like meet on, you know, and they're pen pals for however long, doing video chats and stuff, and then like they'll like move across the country and but or it should, even across the world, you know, it's like technology has made that possible now. You know, it's like
technology has made that possible. I mean, this has been shown. This is actually why I think is one of the big contributors that for the people who do want to be in a relationship and then end up finding themselves in their later years on the sexual marketplace, like 30s, 40s, 50s, and they're not getting the results that they want. I think what we just talked about is one of the most prevalent factors, which is too many options. Therefore, you get this sort of choice paralysis where you just feel like you have all the time in the world because there is literally so many options. We're talking half of the population if you're straight, 7 billion people if you're bi. You know what I'm saying? As far as like people who are on the potential of being something on a sexual level. Sure, not all 3 billion, but you get my point. It's a lot of fucking people. And so if you play into that and you think that's actually the reality, and you just keep entertaining that reality, thinking that you can get around to that later because you got so many options. And I've come to find out that at one point, people realize they don't have as many options as they used to have because we all get older.
I mean, you say that, but...
No, I truly believe it. Like, for example, I want to like be very clear about what I'm talking about. Okay. So every person has a different brain. I get that. We are all different places in life. There's a lot of variables to the equation. I get that. If I want to simplify things, I said it before, for the people who do want to be in a relationship, they do want to have a family, they do want to have kids, they very much are like, yeah, no, that's a reality I want to start. But they just kind of beat around the bush, like you said, because matches are just sliding in and you're just dating, guys want to take you out and girls want to be with you. And then eventually, we don't know how life plays out for individuals, but we come to find out in certain circumstances, most of our lives don't play out exactly how we thought it was going to go. Like, I can tell you right now, I've had a very straight idea on how I wanted my life to play out in my 20s. And I got to be honest, it did not play out that way. I make the best of the situation. But as far as, like, the things that was in my head, it did not play out that way.
It's always how
that was like the unreal way of like how my life's gonna be like this, and then by this time frame it's gonna happen like this, and then we play this like timeline in our heads. But then when you look back, you're like, it so did not play out that way.
Yeah, not even close.
And that's my point.
And thank God in so many ways.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. But anyways, choice paralysis is what I was pointing at. Yeah. It's this idea where you just have so much to pick from.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I feel like the people I know personally who I really respect, like, and because I really respect them, have become my good friends. I feel like the ones who have wanted to have a family, pretty much all of them have a family or are going down that route, and they're doing it like I feel like the right way or the way they want to do it. So yeah, I mean, I feel like it's even though, you know, there's Tinder and like all this like crazy, you know, super fast world and all this like fluidity,
There's
with
the other side.
gender and stuff, like, you know, it's like if you want to have a family and you are just like want to have a house, like, and, you know,
White picket fence.
yeah, just like do the family thing, like you can totally do that. And, you know, a lot of people are doing that, you know. It's like yeah,
Nothing wrong with it.
yeah, and I think that's great.
Yeah, I do. As long as you're ready to commit.
And yeah,
You know
and
what I mean?
honestly, and, you know, to your point earlier, like if you're gonna have kids, like I think that's how you should do it. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, and all of those people that I'm thinking of, like they either have a kid or multiple kids, and they're like great parents, you know, and like like really look forward to that generation of kids, like, you know, because so many of them like have parents that are like not only responsible but like emotionally mature and like
Developed.
developed. Yeah, it's like we've gotten past a lot of the like patriarchal things where it's like as a man you have to like be super hard and unemotional and like, you know, like not show affection and just work all day and come home and like, you know, you're so tired because you worked all day, you don't want to, you know, interact with your family, you just want to, you know, drink a beer and go to sleep.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, no, 100%. Life has changed.
Yeah, it's like, and then you know, to bring it back to like gender fluidity and like, you know,
Let's talk about that for a second.
yeah. So I think my explanation of it, and one that I've kind of picked up like pieces from like Dolores Cannon and like the Law of One, is that I think that so many of the people that are incarnating now, that are coming to the planet, have either incarnated on Earth so many different times as both men and women, that like they really feel like they're both, or they're star seeds and they've come here from somewhere else, a planet like that where they weren't essentially a human, and so they might actually be an embodiment of both energies, of both male and female energy, and so they really like that expresses through them. And so they don't necessarily, I mean, even though they're a man or a woman and they might you know, express that more, like they really do feel like they're both male and female energy. And so I feel like it expresses by them like not really buying into the whole gender thing.
Okay. So why do you think the people who decide to openly fall in the category of, for example, transgender, why is the suicide rate so high in that group specifically? 50%.
One, because like you have an identity crisis. So I think of what actually the Law of One says about, and this is kind of crazy, and I'm not saying that this is my point of view. I'm saying this is what I've taken from the Law of One, is that it says that when a soul, like a person, has incarnated in like a male body, for example, but they've had most of their previous incarnations as a female, if they live in a densely populated area, because of like auric infringement from other people and like them basically getting their energy confused, they will revert to the sex that they've incarnated most as. And they say that like if it's at least 65%, say like you've had 65% of your lives as a female.
I know what you mean.
And you incarnate
as a male, and you're surrounded by females.
And you're surrounded by, you know, just
dense, female energy.
Just any, you know, really dense.
But like female energy would have to be kind of very much there.
Yeah. Well, really just
to influence.
Really other energy would just kind of push in on you and confuse you. I mean, and this is, you know, what the Law of One says. But
no, I mean, it makes sense.
It says you will basically revert back to like what you, because like your original identity or like what you've identified as more, and so you would actually see yourself as like a female energy, and like as a like you, and that's why I think
I've heard people talk about this.
people say like I feel like I'm a woman who was born in a man's body, you know, and so that is an explanation to where
That's the best explanation I've gotten.
That's the best explanation,
to be honest,
I've heard.
That like not even transgender people have given me a better definition than that. Like for most transgender people, they didn't even give me any explanation. It was the here's my, I don't know what the hell, I don't know what I'm thinking. I don't know why this is happening.
But yeah, so I mean, if you want to look that up, if you just look up go on Google, look up Law of One, and it would be just homosexuality, I think is the term.
Like the topic.
But yeah, and yeah, I can find it and then we can link it, or
we'll link it on the screen.
Drop it in there.
So okay. Any additional things you want to touch on?
No, I mean, and so I'm like those, as far as like gender fluidity, and you know, it's like those are the reasons I see, you know, because I really do. I've met a number of people who are like, yeah, like I feel like I'm, you know, both a man and a woman, like female. I have, you know, some people think they have two souls, you know, like in the same body, and it's like, and it's not. They're not like trying to like even convince you of anything. It's like that's just how they feel, you know. And so I really feel like the time we're in with so many people on the planet, so many souls, I think there's, you know, more souls here on the planet from so many different places than like more than like has ever happened essentially probably in the universe. And I think we're transitioning into a higher level of consciousness, and I think because of that, and with so many different energies here, of course it's going to seem like chaos, and it's going to like there's just going to be so many different expressions. You know, people look so different, you know, act different, like have just like different ideas. And then, you know, it's like if you go out and look, like there's plenty of people out there who have memories of being on other planets, you know, of like living lives on other planets, and like or as like living as an energy, like as a sun, or like as part of the great central sun. And so like it's like if you start getting into that world, you'll really stop seeing people as a physical body. You'll see them as an energy that's currently like animating a physical body. It's like this is a vehicle. And so, I'm not a man or a woman. I'm both.
But if we're going by off of what you just been talking about, what solidifies how you reincarnate and what the decision is made?
I mean, it's just...
What is the factor that picks that? You or something else?
It's you as a soul, yeah.
So there you go.
So
if you picked it as a soul, and now you're having a hard time with it on the actual other side, you did this.
Yeah, but I mean, you could say the same thing about illness or anything.
No, all I'm saying is this.
Disability.
Here's what I'm saying. If we're going off of that idea, is because you picked that for a reason. You picked that for a reason because that's a lesson you're supposed to learn.
Yeah, but what if the reason was to show people that it doesn't matter what you identify as, that you can be whatever you want, and that like if you want to like dress as, if you're like 6'6" man, then that's like.
But if that was so healthy, then why such high suicide rate? If that was the right move, then why would they not be committing any suicide?
Those are two different things. It's like people.
I guess what I'm going at is like if something is the right move, if it's the right direction that we're supposed to head towards, why such a detrimental result on the other end?
I mean, I'm not saying it's the right move.
I'm posing the question. I'm not saying that you said or you didn't. I'm just posing the question out loud, saying, okay, because I can get down with the reincarnation and that you pick the path that you're supposed to go in order to learn the lessons you're supposed to learn in order to evolve. Mm-hmm. I'm down with that. And so when I picked that I'm going to be a male for this lifetime, I signed up for that. I signed up to be a male in this lifetime, and I'm going to fill those shoes.
Yeah.
And so that's my point.
Maybe you signed up as a male who wants to express feminine energy.
And that's fine.
And to
And
show
so,
that like
but we're showing that
you don't want to conform to anyone's idea of anything. I think that's one of the biggest reasons I think people express as transgender and as like autistic is because their soul is gonna show people like, hey, I'm not gonna conform to your stupid rules. I'm gonna be who I am. Like, forget your rules. Like, if I want to be a man, if I want to be born as a man and then, transform myself into a woman, like physically as, because that's how I feel inside. And like, that's what I'm going to do. And like, who cares? Like, that's why I'm here.
And that's fine. You can feel however way you want. It just so happens that unfortunately, a lot of those people are barking super loud on the internet, trying to change the world to now their standards.
Yeah.
And so, for example, off of your topic, so you can be whatever you want. I'm a 185 pound, 6 foot tall dude who has been wrestling and doing fighting for my entire life, and I now decide I'm not Bruno. I'm Bruna. And I'm now a female, and I'm going to fight females. At what point do we draw the line here?
Well, to me, that's like a physiological thing. Has nothing
But
to do
see,
with.
I'm taking the esoteric idea and I'm putting it to reality.
No, but that's like,
That's reality. This is happening. This story is not, I didn't make this up. This is happening right now.
For that, I don't think men should be, if you were born a man, I don't think you should be able to compete in women's sports if you're going to separate by gender. If that's what you're going to do, I think the standard should be what gender
we're talking about. Sports that have always been broken down, male and female, all the way down from elementary school all the way down to pro level, to pro level. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
it's happening all the way through.
Yeah. No, so me personally, I think if you were born a man, you should compete with men. If you were born with women, you should compete with women. I don't think, even if you identify as different. But yeah, we should probably call it.
Oh, cool.
We're well over an hour anyway.
All right. Well, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Let's get out. Thanks for watching this episode from Appropriate Culture. If you want to watch other episodes, make sure to make your way to appropriateculture.com. You can also hang out with us in other social media platforms. They're all in the link in the description. And aside from that, if you want to listen to the podcast on other platforms like Audible, Spotify, any of those, you can also find us there as well. Link in the description. Take it easy, guys. Have a good day.
Over there, why they playing games now?